Told you he's back. Tom Sizemore back in studio to apologize for us that he had to leave our fine interview for some weird interview.
You're right. I'm very sorry, Opie, that I made a grievous error to talk to this
I told you.
This jackass in Cleveland named, I can't remember his name, but I think his name was Jack and his last name was Ass.
What did he want to talk about?
He wanted to talk about Louis Anderson and his FBI experience. I don't know what he wanted to talk about.
Why Louis Anderson?
I don't know.
Do you have a connection to Louis Anderson?
No, I don't.
Why?
I think he's funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't follow. I hung up on him. I did live radio.
We believe you.
Listen. I'm a gentleman, and I have changed a lot. But I had a bad day on here once.
Not really.
Yeah, I did.
No, we didn't.
Jim and I had a bad moment.
Yeah, we did.
But we didn't really know what was going on with you. We were trying to figure you out because we never hung out with you before.
I was newly sober, and I was super duper duper sensitive, and I reacted in a kind of a immature, combative way to a kind of innocuous thing that Jim said.
We kind of,
and I apologize, Jim. And
we did. We talked,
and you guys worked it out. We all worked it out.
Absolutely,
we love you on this show.
I listened to it that day, and it just showed me how drugs can really, even I was sober, but how it had changed me in certain ways, and I had to be cognizant of the fact that these were legitimate questions. This is journalism in its own way and entertainment. And I had reacted in a, hey, what are you doing? Ask me a question like that kind of thing. Right. And it was just oversensitive.
I've had a lot worse moments with a lot of other people.
I'm sure you have. If that was my worst one I ever had, I'd be a lucky man.
Yeah, I've had many worse moments.
You need a piece of paper to doodle on?
Do you want me to write some interesting doodles down for you?
No, I got this one. This is like a beautiful mind. It's fucked up.
It is like a beautiful mind, isn't it? Tom is
crazy.
Actually, I did all the doodles for Russell for that movie. He asked me if I would doodle for him.
Wow, I don't even know what's on this paper. I can't wait to tweet this.
Russell said I can't doodle anything, but don't pick up the phone. Or I'll hit you in the head with a phone.
Tom wrapped his interview up early.
He hung up on the other one. He couldn't take them for whatever reason. They wanted to talk about Louis Anderson.
I said, "Do you want to talk about you want to talk about Louis Anderson?"
Click. We got to get you a better phone, I think.
I love that you got the flip phone.
Okay, hang on a second.
What's up with the flip phone?
Is that your bad boy phone?
I really feel bad about this phone now.
Why?
It makes me feel really bad because it's archaic, and I thought it was. Listen, I had a hard time with the not the iPhone. What was it called?
BlackBerry, probably.
The BlackBerry. I kept breaking it. Like if I breathed on it hard, it broke.
Right.
It seemed like it broke. This phone you can submerge in water. I did it overnight. Pick it up in the morning and call Istanbul, Turkey, and get right through. You can take this phone and drop it from a third-story window on Wilshire Boulevard and hit the ground and go down and pick it up and call your mom. It is indestructible.
But you can't watch videos or check out pictures.
You can do all that shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of
the screens are smaller.
Hang on a second. I'm going to show you a video of something I just did recently.
Uh-oh.
No, it's a movie. Imagine. Oh, you're an asshole.
I thought you were in someone's apartment watching porn again.
I don't watch porn. I'm sober. You can't watch porn unless you're high. I can't watch it sober.
Oh, no, you'd be surprised. I've spent a lot of hours
Jim, you're
watching.
a trip. Don't admit to that. Why are you telling on yourself, for God's sakes?
I have to.
It's part of your recovery?
Yeah. Rigorous.
I can watch porn sober, too. I admit it.
Wait, is that a trigger for some people?
Some people,
what?
Maybe, but not for me.
I don't know. It's not a trigger. It's just that when you're sober,
spiritual life.
You think about your mom and stuff. Like,
okay,
I don't. Not, you know what I mean?
They'll make it last longer.
When you're high, your inhibitions are lowered, and you do things that aren't the brightest things to do. I can't find that video. It's a movie I did just recently, and it's the guy. I was surprised that I didn't know I had video on here, and he sent it to me, an attachment, and it works as a video.
All right.
Here's my girlfriend's feet.
Oh,
are you a foot guy?
No,
okay.
I just took a picture of her feet because I like those shoes.
Oh, so you're a
shoe guy. I'm not a shoe guy. I just like the shoes.
Those are nice.
Let me see the shoes.
I've gotten a bit more of a foot thing as I've gotten older.
It's not a foot thing at all. It's just
No,
some
but I've got
shoes.
one.
She just appreciates some nice shoes.
You know,
Do you like shoes?
I don't care about shoes, but she does.
Have you tried them
And
on?
she went to Manolo Blahnik, and what did you say?
You never smell them?
You ever smell them?
You guys are freaks. You guys are sexually. You guys are sexually fucking in the hole, man.
Yeah.
You guys need to get laid.
Well, we're thinking if you
Somebody
take,
here needs to get laid, not me.
we're thinking if you take a picture of the shoes, the next step is to, I don't know, maybe take a sniff or try them
Maybe
on.
jack off on the shoes.
I do like
And
feet.
never, Jim, are you guys serious?
Oh, 100%,
What happened
yeah.
to this show? This show used to be highbrow, I thought.
Oh, no, we're garbage. We're utter garbage.
What happened? Anthony left and the thing went in the shitter, huh?
Yeah, he took all dignity with him.
That was dignified. I thought so. And I heard that. I went, oh, he's a dignified guy. Here's my girlfriend.
Wow.
She's pretty, huh?
Let me see.
She's really pretty. Very lovely.
Yeah.
She an actress?
We were going to the pool.
Wow, wait.
No, she's
There you go.
not. She's a student. She's a physical
What high
therapist.
school?
Oh, you're out of your mind, man. She's 25 years old.
She's pretty.
She's a very, very pretty girl. She's a lovely girl. And
How long you dating her?
Very nice.
we've been together for 7 months.
25?
And I'm absolutely crazy about her. And I'm very, very, very fortunate to have such a lovely young woman in my life who's doesn't do drugs and, you know, just a loving person and ambitious in her own way. Doesn't really, you know, she cares about movies in a healthy way. It doesn't, you know, that's not why she. And it's just great. I haven't had a really healthy relationship in a long time.
How'd you meet her?
I met her at Ralph's Supermarket.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great pickup place in Santa
The one in
Clarita.
the Rock and Roll Ralph's on Sunset?
No. I met her in Santa Clarita. And I walked up to her and I started talking to her and she went, hang on a second. No, I know who you are.
Did she really?
That's how it started.
So how'd you keep
How
going?
did I combat that?
Yeah. How'd you come back from that
I said,
one?
I'm not him. I lied to her. I said, I'm Michael Madsen.
Have you
She said, no.
we love Madsen, too.
No. What I did was I went outside. I saw she was checking out.
Yeah.
And I had my car and I pulled up to where they come out and I rolled my window down and she came out and she went, you don't understand English? And I said, "Comment ça va?" or something shit. I said, I don't speak foreign languages. And she went, "What?" I said, "Comment allez-vous?" She went, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What? I'm trying to speak a foreign language. What do you want me to say? I think you're really, really attractive. And would you like to have a cup of coffee?" And she said, "You know what? I'm gonna have a cup of coffee with you because you are very persistent." And
you wore it down.
I didn't wear her down. She was kind of curious about me, I think. And she's 25, so she grew up with the internet stuff. And we had a nice time that afternoon, and we subsequently went. And I realized I hadn't really dated somebody in a long time, like a normal person. You go on dates, you talk, and you realize if you have things in common and stuff like that. And I really love her.
Aww.
So you had coffee. You had coffee with her right after that, right when you met her that day.
That day, yeah.
That's great.
And then we went to.
Do you have a follow-up question, Florentine?
Nothing happened. Nothing happened for.
I think he has a follow-up question.
I was thinking nothing's happened. When it finally happened, I thought it took way too long.
A week?
No.
3 hours?
No. 3 weeks.
Wow. Good for you, Tom Sizemore.
That's a while. I mean,
And like 10 dates.
Nice.
We went to Magic Mountain. I hate that shit.
Well,
I absolutely hate that shit.
Oh, you're in love. If you're going to Magic Mountain, you're in
And
love.
she went, "You want to go on a roller coaster?" I hate roller coasters. I went, "Sure." She went, "I love roller coasters." I went, "I don't love them, but I'll go on it with you."
Oh, you were in love.
And the first one, it's just how cool she was. When the first one was over, she went, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." It turned like 5,000 colors green. I couldn't get out of the thing when it was over. I couldn't get out of when it stopped. I hate roller coasters.
Yeah.
I hadn't been on one since I was like 11.
Right.
And I'm 50. So I had a 41 years of no roller
39
coasters.
year hiatus.
They got scarier.
were you worried about puking on your date?
I didn't think about puking until I was on the roller coaster, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm going to puke." I thought a lot of bad things were going to happen. I just closed my eyes and went, "It'll end." My mind said, "It'll end soon. It'll end soon," and then that stopped because it was so. And I just started going like this, not in that fun way, in
Yeah.
that scared way. But you can't hear anything. She didn't know until we were done, and she got off, and I was still sitting there like this, and she went, "Oh God," and I guess she said I looked kind of green, and she went, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "Come on." And I couldn't get up. I was just so thrown for a loop. And she got me up and she said, "Let's go again." No, she didn't. Let's do it all day. So we went on the roller coaster or whatever. And that was,
So that
was a little special, like little moment. She's a really considerate, kind person. And so we went on the merry-go-round after that. And we went on the merry-go-round.
And the teacups.
Yeah.
we went on the tin cups, the merry-go-round. And
Just to calm you down, you went on the teacups?
We went on the teacups, the merry-go-round. And
And a little choo-choo.
I don't even like going on the
Ferris wheel, no.
Ferris wheel.
Oh, fuck that.
Fuck that shit,
I'm
man.
not a right guy.
They start up there. They stop you up there to put someone new on.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And the person's slow.
Yeah.
And you're up there going like this.
Yeah.
You're dangling, and it's awful.
Moving back and forth.
It just seems like something more bad things would happen at those places. Maybe they do. We just don't hear
Yeah.
about them.
They do, the local ones especially.
There's a massive
How
one
about
in
the ones that
Vegas.
come into town?
That's what I mean. Those are the ones where a bolt
the
always
carny- the
pops
carny-
and someone goes flying.
Yeah.
They got to shut the damn thing down.
I went to one of those in Tennessee. 'Cause my mother's relatives are from Tennessee, and I was like 11 years old, and you could shoot the baskets, and I was a pretty good free throw shooter. And I'm shooting, and I'm with my uncle Barry, who was only like 8 years older than me, and he was a pretty good basketball player too. And none of us could make a basket. And finally, my Uncle RD, who was from Tennessee, went, "What do you?" He finally found us. He goes, "What are you dumb bastards doing over here? Don't you know this is a setup?" And Barry said, "Why would he set us up over a quarter?" And he said, "How many quarters have you paid?" And we'd probably spent like $11. He took the basketball. He went, "Get out of my way, son of a bitch." He was 6'6", Uncle RD. The basketball didn't fit in the hole.
Oh,
The hole was smaller than the basketball. So even if
Yeah,
you
they
made
squish it. They squish it, but it's an optical
even
illusion.
if you made it,
Yeah.
even if you got it in there,
Yeah.
it bounced out.
Right. Yeah, it's an
Because
optical illusion.
it's too small. No, they're not all like that. Some of them you can actually make it.
They squish it, though.
They squish what?
The rim.
Did we just say squish what together?
The rim. Yeah,
The
we did.
rim. So it's not round anymore. It's kind of like in this shape.
Oh, it's a little bit of an oval.
A little, oval, but your eyes still see it as a circle.
Okay, have you ever seen the Pete Maravich documentary? Pete Maravich,
One of my favorite guys of all time.
Mine
Pete
too.
Maravich, one of my heroes.
one of my heroes too. Now, there's
I
a great.
did not see the documentary.
Okay, there's two of them on him. There's a Pete Maravich. It's called The Greatest Basketball Player of All Time.
Number 7.
Which is very debatable.
Not that debatable. He's one of the greatest of all time.
He is one of the greatest of all time, and he was, as Magic Johnson said, the first showman in sports. He and Ali
Yeah.
were the two first showmen in sports, and Ali was ridiculed as well as Maravich,
Mm-hmm.
and that became the way you did things. You see the Maravich pass where he's coming down the court and he goes like this.
Right.
He puts his hand over the ball.
Yeah, and just
and
slaps it to the
You
left.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of his moves.
He's looking to the right.
Yeah.
But that's the first time he did it, is that replay. And the ref called traveling on him. And Maravich said to him, "How can you call that? You've never seen anybody do that before." And the ref was Daryl Garrettson. And he said, "I realized that was true. I had never seen anyone do that before." And I had called traveling on. Remember the Maravich move where he's driving on the Lakers and he puts the ball behind his back
Right.
and he jumps
Right.
and you don't know where the ball is?
Right.
You know the play I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
of course.
And he just takes out the last second and he lays
Yeah.
it up over Wilt.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys are playing defense, and they think he's throwing a behind the back pass, which he was
Right.
known for behind the back passes. So he's dribbling, he goes, and he jumps, and everyone's looking around for and he
then he-
lays in over Chamberlain, and the 68-point game against the Knicks. I mean, remarkable,
Amazing.
Oddly enough, when he got hurt with the Jazz,
It was a trick play.
but
He was trying to throw between his legs full court.
The year before, he was All-Pro first team.
Right.
And he had come into his own because at the time with the Hawks was really kind of not good. But he still was scoring 20 points a game. Those guys didn't like him because of the money.
They picked him up. It was a shitty team.
And,
He was stuck down there.
and they gave him $1 million bonus and they gave him $400,000 a year. The next guy on the team was Lou Hudson or Lenny Wilkins, and they were making $52,000 a year. That's management's problem to give this guy $400K, and the next guy's making 52.
8 times what the other guy's making.
Yeah, and he's an unproven rookie, so they didn't like him. You couldn't help but not like him. And Lenny Wilkins was the best point guard in basketball at the time, and but then he went to the Jazz, and they were a expansion team. They had Rich Kelly at center, and when he got hurt, they were for the first time they were like 5 games over 500, and he was All-Pro first team the year before. He was only 30,
Right.
and then he rehabbed and he came back with the Celtics.
Exactly. With that perm.
Perm and Bird's rookie season, and Bird loved playing with him. and Maravich retired, and Larry tried to talk him into playing another season, and he said, we're gonna win the title.
Right.
And they had gone from 29 wins to 62 wins in Bird's rookie season.
Yep.
The 29 wins the year before, to 62 wins his rookie season, and his second season they played the Rockets in the title game. That year that he was a rookie, Magic beat the Philadelphia 76ers, and then the next season Bird beat Moses Malone and the Houston Rockets. And it's just a shame that Pete retired and didn't get that because he really wanted that ring.
You're Rain Man with sports and basketball. You know your shit.
I know baseball better actually.
And then Maravich.
You do?
Maravich dies of a massive heart attack.
I know the church he died in, and I know exactly where he fell. And I went and saw it.
It turns out he had
his whole life. He
had a defect. He was missing an artery.
He was missing
down an artery or something.
He was missing he was missing a valve.
Was it a valve?
A valve.
Okay.
His whole life he didn't have a valve. He could have fallen over and died
any second.
His whole life.
He made it to 40.
And he made it to 40.
Was it only 40?
On the button, 40.
Oh, wow.
But when you think about it, I mean, when he was at LSU, what he did at LSU, to make his scoring title, you would have to hit 15 threes a game for 4 years to break his scoring title. That's how many points he scored in college.
Yeah.
He graduated from college with a 44.2 a game average and no three-pointers.
They didn't have the three-pointer yet.
Dale Brown has gone back and looked at all the games, and with the three-pointers, he scores 61 points a game.
Come on.
Because of the distance of some of those shots,
I'm
right?
not bullshitting you. It's in the documentary.
No, it's just one of those things you say. Come on.
Oh, yeah. 61 points.
believe you.
61 points a game. He shot 47% from the field. And, of course, his dad was the coach. Mm-hmm. But I've watched a lot of those games now. And the offense was geared towards him. Those guys weren't as good, but he was so much better than everyone else. I saw him play a game against Dan Issel, who was the best player in college basketball at the time at Kentucky. And in the first half, Issel said we held him in check. He scored 22 points. And in the second half, he went off and scored 40. He scored 62 points against Adolph Rupp and Kentucky Wildcats, and they lost by 1. Yeah. But he was a misunderstood player, I think, and a misunderstood person.
When did he die? What year?
It was
85, 86.
No,
86.
89.
No,
you're right. 88. Look it up. You got it here?
I know where I was living in Rochester. 80.
I think it was 88.
87, 88. You're probably right. Yeah.
And he died playing a pickup game at his church. He became a born again Christian.
Pete Maravich. I'm just doing serious.
No, I think Tom's right.
He became a born again Christian, and he was very, very active on the speaking, and he was talking to young basketball players, and had become a real good, was doing really good things with his life.
January 88.
January 88?
He died, yeah.
I got a canceled check from Pete Maravich.
You do, really?
Yeah, for plumbing.
He was
plumbing work in his house.
Really?
Yeah, it's real.
I had 2 guys on my wall. I'll tell you,
I don't collect a lot of stuff, but my Pete Maravich, I value.
I have a canceled check of Marilyn Monroe's.
Wow.
And I had De Niro, the first poster I ever made of De Niro on my wall, and the Pete Maravich's rookie poster on my wall as a kid. And I had them there.
You got autographs?
Really?
I got the De Niro one autograph, but Pete was.
I got a lot of Pistol Pete autographs because I went to his basketball camp.
Did you really?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, you're like I was. I didn't. My parents didn't have the money.
One of the greatest.
Did they cost money to go to his camps?
It's a boring story, but I gotta say
tell
me the story. I was at Pistol Pete Maravich basketball camp. I was obsessed with basketball. I thought I had a real shot to actually be in the NBA, and I followed everything.
I was a good ball player too.
I followed, but I didn't get the height.
My dad kept telling me you're 5'10".
That's me.
You're 5'10". You have no quickness.
I wish my dad would have said, "Look, you're not gonna make it to 6 foot. This is a waste of time."
And you have no feet.
Yeah. So
I could shoot.
It was Kutcher's upstate in New York.
Did you play in high school?
Yeah.
Did you start?
No, to be honest with you.
How could you think you're going to be in the NBA and not start on your high school team?
Because I'll tell you why. I was 5'2", 91 pounds in 10th grade. I never got fucking height, and then I went 5'6", and then I finally got up to.
You thought you were going to grow like be 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm about 5'11" now. That's it.
And my dad was 6'4", and I thought I was going to get the growth spurt.
Yeah.
I never got it. All my brothers got it. They're 6'2" and up. I'm the midget in the family.
I followed my dad. He was an amazing basketball player.
Well, go ahead. Tell me the story.
I want to brag about my dad. He had a shot at trying out for the Knicks, but his first wife was dying and chose, to obviously be with her, and he never got the chance again.
What year was that?
like way in the fucking 50s, mid
That
50s,
was when
somewhere around there.
That's when Dick McGuire was the starting guy.
All that shit.
See, I know my sports,
Yeah,
brother.
but they wanted him
Dick
to try out.
McGuire and
He played for Fordham Prep and Navy, my dad.
really,
Yeah, he was really.
Fordham was a powerhouse back then.
And he downplayed, how great he was. And after he died, I found all his fucking press clippings in the attic. I'm like, fuck, no idea. But anyway,
was he an amazing high school player?
I guess.
He must have been.
Yeah, he never really talked about it in depth to that point. But
That-
he was still playing.
That Nick team had Sweetwater on it too.
I don't remember the lineup back then.
Okay, go ahead.
But when he was 50, he was still playing with us and kicking our fucking asses.
At 50,
With just regular shoes on. He didn't even have fucking sneakers.
did he have a real jumper, or was he shooting the setter
He did old school. He had the hook shot and all that shit.
and the setter and stuff?
All that. He could hit it from anywhere. But anyway, so I go to camp, and it's Pistol Pete, and I was obsessed with basketball. I was so excited to be at camp, I would get up as the sun was coming up, and I'm just shooting one morning, and all of a sudden I see this figure like a fucking movie coming through the sunlight that's coming up. And-
Was he playing then too?
yeah, oh yeah. This is what he did in
wow.
the summer. And it was Pete Maravich. And we shot around for about 15 or 20 minutes before breakfast.
Just
I'll
the two of
never
you?
forget. I swear to God.
Just you two.
Just us two, and he's giving me pointers and stuff, and I'm like, I was out of my mind. I was.
I
How old was I? 13, 12, 13
I almost
years
got
old.
tearful just now because I
Yeah.
loved them.
Yeah,
If that had happened for me, I
was out of my mind.
with Pete Maravich, he did.
And
a
then my
shit-
dad became friends with Press Maravich.
You're kidding me.
And they wrote back and forth, and my dad sent the letters to the Hall of Fame.
You're kidding
He
me.
would Press Maravich would write my dad all about Pistol Pete and how his rehab's going and all that, and yeah,
They had a hard
became
life.
pals.
They had a hard life,
because
you
Press
know?
Maravich was one of the coaches at this basketball camp as well. He was still kind of coaching, even though he was an older guy at
Press
that point.
Press was born in Pittsburgh, and then he was working the mills, and he went on to become a college star, and
Right.
and
In his own right.
Then the mother had all those problems. She killed herself. I mean, it was
Right.
real difficult.
And Press was obsessed
Press-
with making Pistol Pete the best he could be.
When Press Maravich was recruiting at the time, Charlie Scott. Remember Charlie Scott?
No.
Played for North Carolina, played for the Celtics. And scored like 25 points a game for the Celtics when they had JoJo White and Dave Cowens and Havlicek. And anyway, he was the number one recruit in the nation. And Press Maravich went to recruit him. And his son was a senior in high school, a junior in high school. And he said, he said, I'm coaching at North Carolina State then. He was coaching at North Carolina State, Press was. He said, but when my son is going to college, I'm going to go wherever he told Charlie Scott what he was going to do. I'm going to make it a package deal, and I'm going to end up at a school in the SEC. And Charlie Scott was like, what is going on here? What's he talking? Because usually guys come to recruit players like that, and they just fawn all over them and come to NC State. He wasn't recruiting them for NC State. He was recruiting them, and he said, well, what's the bottom line here? He goes, in 2 years, you will be playing basketball with the greatest basketball player that will ever lived. And he's 16 years old right now. And Charlie Scott was the number one recruit. John Wooden had visited him. And he went, but coach, I could be playing for John Wooden. He said, hang on. The greatest basketball player that's ever lived. And Charlie Scott said, is your son? And he went, yes. He's the greatest basketball player that's ever playing basketball right now in high school. He was scoring like 48 points a game, and he was the best high school player in the nation. And Scott ended up saying no and ended up going to NC State. And Press coached Charlie Scott. He went to NC State despite Press Maravich telling him, I'm going to leave and all this. And he wanted to go to NC State because he was from North Carolina, and it was either go to North Carolina State and Dean Smith wasn't at North Carolina yet. So he went to NC State, and then 2 years later, the biggest news in college basketball was there was a freshman at LSU, and they would sell out. They had like 12,000 fans there for the freshman game, and then like 1,800 fans because basketball hadn't arrived in the SEC yet. And like 11,000 fans would leave, and the varsity game would be watched by this very
Small crowd.
Smattering.
crowd.
Yeah.
And Pistol Pete did for all intents and purposes create SEC basketball, which went on to become a big time Arkansas and Nolan Richardson and all those great programs, Georgia and he doesn't get the credit. You don't read about him a lot as being
He was amazing.
pioneer of Showtime, and he was the first guy really. They said Cousy wasn't that great a ball handler. I mean, he was great.
Kuzi had moves. But
Yeah.
Pistol Pete would put it on a whole
Pete,
nother level.
Yeah, Pete was 6'6" too. Let's not forget he grew
was
to be
really
6'6".
tall.
He was really tall, and
for a guard.
Cotton
at the time.
Cotton Fitzsimmons says to this day he was the fastest from end line to end line with the ball in his hands. And once he was like 5 yards from the top of the key, he was in shooting range. So when he ran the fast break, I mean, there was no one who could run it like him because you had to defend him. And once he was with the Jazz, he was really, really had grown. And he was just, I mean, I've watched some of those games with the Jazz his last season. Mm-hmm. He's playing guard like, I mean, I've never seen anyone play guard like that except Magic. And he's a better scorer than Magic. He's a better shooter.
Oh, way better scorer than Magic.
And that was that season is the game. He had the 68-point game against Frazier.
Right.
And that's when Clyde was the greatest defender in the league. And like halfway through the first half, Clyde turned to Earl Monroe and went, he said, Pearl. And he went,
I don't want anything to do with this.
And they had, Dean Meminger was on the team too.
Yes.
Dean Meminger, and he went, Dean. And Clyde said, he said he was unguardable. He was absolutely unguardable. At one point, Maravich is at the top of the key, and he has the ball in his hands, right? And he goes to make a pass here, and he pivots around in a circle, and then Clyde, he holds the ball in this hand, and then Clyde makes a move to get it, and he turns away from him, still looking to pass, and then he looks up at the clock. Clyde's in front of him, and he goes up, and Clyde jumps as high as he can, and he goes like this, puts it in his left hand, and shoots it.
Come on.
You got to watch it.
I got to see that highlight.
It's the 68-point game, and Maravich said after the game it was the greatest game he ever played, and he felt that at the beginning of the second quarter he couldn't miss, and he scored 68 points against the Knick team that won the 70, not the first championship, the second one with Jerry Lucas. They won a title against the Lakers, and then they won it 73.
I was going to say, oh yeah, you're right.
The 69-70 team with Dick Barnett at guard, they won the title, and they traded for Monroe. And Jerry Lucas, and they won another title with DeBusschere, Reed, Clyde, Bill Bradley, and then Earl Monroe and Jerry Lucas were the other guys. And Phil Jackson was on that team also.
A bunch of those guys were here. There were 6 of them in the fishbowl out there probably
Who?
8 months ago.
Which guys?
Phil Jackson, I think. Is DeBusschere still alive?
No, he dropped dead on
was
the
the
street
other guy?
in New York. DeBusschere?
Dave's from Detroit. Dave died?
Yeah, he died.
When?
Walking on the streets of New York back in the day. That's been a while now.
Well, Dave was a GM when they drafted Ewing.
Huh?
Dave was the Knicks GM when they drafted
right,
Ewing.
right, yeah.
I mean, it was the luck of the draw.
Lottery.
Yeah, but do you remember ever watch that video of DeBusschere winning? I mean, he was a Knick. Mm-hmm. He was a Piston first. I'm from Detroit.
Right.
And we traded him for Walt Bellamy and Howie Kohlmives.
How did that work out for you?
Do you know who Howie Kohlmives is?
I know Bellamy, though.
Bellamy was a bum.
Right.
Howie Kohlmives was a bigger bum.
That's why I said
Howie Kohlmives had legs about 1 inch tall. I mean, he was the prototype, fire hydrant guard, but no speed, couldn't shoot, and couldn't dribble. Dave Bing actually said this. He said, apart from that, he was highly skilled. Because Dave Bing was his backcourt mate.
I think we now have to get
go.
out of here. Right?
Yes.
I wanted to talk about Jeter, and they're selling his socks now.
What's he hitting right now? 276?
Something like
Is he
that.
that
I thought
high?
it was lower than that. Those in the 250s. Maybe you're
Is it
right.
really?
You might be right.
He moved it up a little bit then, huh?
And real briefly, I want to say I saw Derek Jeter play in high school. I'm from Detroit. He was from Kalamazoo.
All right.
When he was in 9th grade, the word is spread all over the state that there was a guy who was going to the major leagues. And I saw him play in high school, and he was special then, and he's had a remarkable career. And what I'd like to say, Derek Jeter, you've given me incredible thrills. And
Was it so remarkable that you're going to buy his socks, his used socks?
I wouldn't buy his used socks.
That came
but
out.
I would buy a hat of his.
You'd buy a bat, yeah, but
A hat.
Yeah.
They're selling his used game socks now.
Who is?
It was on the front page of the paper today.
Yeah.
Derek doesn't need the money, does he?
The collectible company that he's working
Derek's
with.
not selling them, is he?
No, he just did this whole.
$400. There it is. Yeah. Yanks are selling Jeter's game socks for $400.
It's not bad. 400.
Would you grab that?
Mantle was the first guy to make big money in memorabilia. I just watched a documentary about Mantle. I love sports. Mantle was struggling. He did the thing in Atlantic City, and he and Mays, and they got banned for a while. And then the memorabilia thing started, and he made a ton of money. And he was drunk, unfortunately, one night, and he said if he had to do it over again, someone said if he had to do it over again, what would you do? And I thought he would talk about his knee or something. And he goes, I'd have kept every bat, every hat, and every jock strap I had, and I think the jock straps would have made the most money because these bitches love me. That's what the Mick said.
Good old Mick.
I love Mickey Mantle. Anyway, you guys, it was great talking to you. Thank you very much.
All right. Very
Okay,
good.
thanks, you guys.
All right.